Welcome back to the Dare to Dream podcast, where we highlight the lessons, learnings, and life changing moments that come from having the courage to follow your dreams. My name is Gregory Russell Benedict,
My name is Vincent Van Patten.
and we are so excited to be reunited on this episode. Vinny, I know you are on a spiritual odyssey, and I want to spend a lot of today's episode unpacking that. Where should we begin?
Yeah, so good to see you, pal. It's been a couple of weeks. Um, so a few weeks ago, I had a meltdown, I would say. Um, Very difficult month with my back and had like 3 flare-ups in 1 month. Pretty much hit rock bottom. And it made me realize that something has got to change. There's clearly something I'm missing. I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I couldn't go on living life that way. And through somebody in the back training group that I was in, the BBB, I found somebody who I was told that healed the thing that I was having trouble with, my SI joint. And I reached out to her and she's like, yeah, this is really a psychological thing. It's like it's not physical. And think about it. Like you've tried everything over the years. It's not really getting any better now. And like, and she healed in like 2 months, like taking the psychological approach. She had this pretty much divine intervention that like told her like, there's a lot of stuff that you need to work through in your life and like relationships and stuff that you need to settle. And that is where the pain is coming from. And it just set me off. She kind of became my guiding light in this and set me off on this spiritual odyssey to just unpack everything with my life, like childhood traumas and challenges and emotions. And that is the cause of the chronic pain. And it might seem like, oh, you just found another thing you're going to do for a while and see if that works until you find the next thing. So, well, I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. But I've tried like everything physical. I've tried everything that people can do for me. Do this program, do this program, do this to fix your body, do acupuncture. This is the first time it's like, no one's going to fix this but you. You have to completely alter your life and look inside at what has always been there instead of trying to add something to your life that's going to fix you. You need to unpack what has been inside of you and what is causing pain from the inside out. And that is something that I would have been carrying for the rest of my life if I never would have stopped, or if I never would have had the gift of meeting this person who's like helping me through this and helping me see it. Because when I did realize it, and it obviously did help to see that she healed through doing this, like, because I've heard about what I'm using and the whole philosophy, this guy, Dr. John Sarno, and the kind of the term of what this is, it's called TMS, just tension myositis syndrome. That doesn't matter so much. That just means that there's tension between your conscious and your unconscious mind, and it's causing pain in your muscles, which is myo. And basically the concept is that our brain is sending pain to our body, creating real pain in our body to distract us from the emotional pain that lives in our unconscious mind. And it believes that if that unconscious pain, rage, anger, sadness, pretty much is all negative emotions, were to come to the surface, it would destroy our lives and that we cannot handle it emotionally. So our brain is trying to protect us. It's not that something's wrong with you. The brain is actually just trying to protect the human, the ego, from that further, what it sees as like true havoc and devastation. So it says, here's back pain. This is your problem. I'm going to distract you from what's really going on inside of you by giving you this chronic pain. And it's not just back pain. It's like pretty much anything that we suffer that's like what we think is uncurable. Back pain, migraines, headaches, fibromyalgia is like a big one. just bodily pain that it can't really be described. It maybe moves around. Nothing really significant comes up in like tests and MRIs and stuff, which is the case for a lot of the stuff. Um, it's emotional pain, and that's the hardest thing to confront. And it's why I've put it off for years. Like what I was saying before, I'd listened to actually his book, Dr. John Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain, but it's when I was still believing fully that it was a physical thing. And I was like, okay, maybe this will help, but like, and I'll listen to it, but then I didn't buy into it. Seeing that this person healed, and then seeing myself so apparently in this, has changed everything. And I'll stop there for now.
So it sounds like the biggest shift is going from seeing this as a physical injury that you need to do physical exercises to heal to
Mm-hmm.
a byproduct of deep emotion that's been stored in the body, and it is manifesting in pain. Your brain is trying to say, hey, look over here at this back pain. We're going to give you this back pain so you don't focus on the real thing deep inside, which is working through some of these past traumatic experiences.
Precisely. Yeah, a huge mindset shift is that I'm living life now knowing I'm not broken instead of trying not to break. Before, we're living our lives based in fear. When you have chronic pain, I can't bend over, I can't play the sports that I want to, and it sends you down a spiral, a negative spiral, because you think there's something wrong with your body. That's the first thing. And when you realize that this is TMS, you have to retrain your brain, and that's what I'm in the process of doing, to realize there's absolutely nothing wrong with my body. And that's the first step. Like, if you don't fully believe that this is TMS, it's never going to work. um, it's not even Dr. John Sarno says it's not even belief, it's acceptance. It's like, I have to accept that this is the truth and this is what's happening. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But so it's, yeah, the psychological switch from, I know there's nothing wrong with my body, and even when there's little bouts of pain, I know what's actually going on now. So instead of trying to fix something that is going wrong with the body, with chiropractors, with building, and this should be said that I'm still doing like some of the BBB workouts and stuff, because I think it's the best thing you could be doing to actually strengthen your lower back and train it and get it, in the best shape they could be in. But I no longer seeing it as trying to fix a problem. I see it as just strengthening my lower back, because I just want to have a strong low back now. And
Yeah.
so I'm not broken. And like, I'll tell you how it's just been manifesting for the past 2 weeks. But yeah.
Not broken. I want to ask about that in a moment. But what is crazy is I've been on the sidelines for this whole journey, and you going to every type of doctor, trying so many different treatment things, and even getting the MRI showing that, yeah, you have a little bit of a bulge disc, but that shouldn't be causing this amount of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that entire paradigm shift to it being emotional. Because as you mentioned, and I also talked to Dr. Peter, who we're going to bring on in the future, you can have someone who on the MRI scan looks like they should be in way more pain than someone like yourself, but they
Mm-hmm.
experience no pain. And you're over here with crippling back pain and having your back go out. So it's so crazy. And I'm so interested to get into the details today, but then also to watch this journey continue to unfold as you
Dude,
heal yourself even more.
yeah, man, it is absolutely, it's hard for me to actually conceptualize this moment of life that I'm in. Like, it feels like such a tipping point. And like this morning, and I'm trying to see it even as like, this isn't just about healing my back pain. Like, this is about going crossing a threshold from my childhood, my adolescence, the pain I was feeling and stuff, stepping through to finally make peace with all of that and finally start living this life that is made for me. Because I've just been doing more than just existing, but like persisting, enduring, and life isn't just meant to be endured. Like, I want to live, and it feels like I'm blowing the door down. Uh, it's like this morning, for example. I had a brother. I have a brother in my life. was kind of like a god brother growing up, but that was such a big part of my life. And one day, about 10 years ago, it kind of just that relationship was kind of severed, um, for a different reason. It had nothing really to do with us, but he was just out of my life from that point. And the last 10 years, I've been wondering just how he's doing, what's going on, why did it happen, just these questions. And could never really talk to anybody about it, or just never really did. But I always wondered. And it was like such a big part of my life, and it was just gone. And because of this, calling it the emotional odyssey, I'm trying to take every sign from the universe and like run with it and just not question it and be like, you got to do this thing. And I had a dream. I mean, I've dreamt about him a lot over the years, but had a like at 3 in the morning. I'm like, you gotta talk to him, and figured like it was scary because like part of me didn't want to know how what had happened and like kind of facing that fear. And of course, talked to him this morning for the first time in 10 years, 3 hour phone call, and just such catharsis. Like literally hung up right before this. And it's like, if that is what my back pain has given me, then it's the greatest gift I'll ever be given.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is that I've known you since freshman year of college. I feel like I know a fair amount of the deep, dark crevasses of your mind, and I'd never heard of this guy. You had never brought him up to me. So the fact that you're doing all these different things, and I want to get into the specific modalities and all the things you're adding and taking away from your life, but the fact that I had never heard of this and that you brought that up, talked about it with me, but then reached out to him and had that 3 hour conversation. Good on you, man. You're making progress.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, it's like that's why it's hard for me to be like, what is really happening? Like, it's wild. Like every day, like last night, I discovered that there's a Sento across the street from me, which is like a Japanese bathhouse that I've been going to. Um, Discovered it like 2 weeks ago. Didn't even realize it's like a block away. Just like left the Sento last night, like sauna, jacuzzi, cold plunge, feeling so good. Just like walking to like the warm, stormy street. Like it's like raining, kind of stormy last night. Feels like tropical rain, and just like hearing the tin, like the rain on the pattering the roof, like on my street, and just like Tokyo. Like I'm in Tokyo, just like leaving the Sento, like the local vibe. It's in my little neighborhood, and like I'm just like, what is life right now? Like and I had a second therapy session yesterday, and just like the connection felt like very good. I was meeting this person for the first time, and I'm like, this is the beginning of like a serious journey, like with this person. And like just meeting her for the first time, like in Tokyo, and like you go to the Sento, like I was like, this is what a life, what a season. It's crazy, pretty cool.
And in addition to therapy, which by the way, I'm so proud of you for doing it. I think everyone should work with a therapist at some point to discover more about themselves, their past, what made them who they are. In addition to
Thanks,
therapy,
bud.
what else are you adding or removing from your life?
So yeah, I'll walk through just the gamut here. And something she said too, she's like, because the type of person I am, both of us, perfectionist type of personality, like high achiever. So I'm kind of turning this period into like kind of like that too, where it's like it has to be my routine. I'm not doing all. She's like, you're kind of making that. She's like, some of this Tokyo monk thing. 'Cause I kept saying like I'm in my monk mode, and she's like, you know, it's almost like you have to disrupt the entire system of like who you think you are, and it hit me. I was like what if we changed everything we thought we knew about ourselves? Because that's what I have to do right now. I have to get out of this like mindset. I have to forget who I am pretty much in like the ways that my brain has been trained to think and to send me pain and stuff. And it's like I'm almost trying not to see this as such a like even calling it the emotional odyssey anymore. It seems like it's like a task, like a you know. But anyways, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on all that. I just let it all happen. But what it is, the regime, if you will. So this woman who has pretty much been guiding me through it, she's like, you gotta start with these two books, and we're both big fans of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's amazing, and been listening to You Are the Placebo. That's the first one, and that is all about reprogramming your mind. And this is like what I was just saying, like, what if you forgot everything about what you thought you were? And he had a terrible accident when he was like in his 20s, shattered his spine. He was on a bike and got hit by a truck, and without surgery or anything, built his spine back, like just by like meditating and imagining the future that hadn't yet happened. But the brain doesn't know what is real, what's reality. If you are so convinced that that future that you want is reality, that like that is what's happening, your brain is like, well, that's it then, let's go. And that's, you can start to create that for yourself. And so reading that book and just getting to the meditation part where he walks through this transformative meditation. He's a neuroscientist, and like it's not just like, he's sitting on a mountaintop rebuilding his spine. Like it's very science based, and like what I've learned about the brain is absolutely crazy. Like I feel like I'm taking a course on psychology and like neuroscience just by reading these books, and like being totally consumed, because it's like I'm using it, and that's what makes it
Yeah.
so much more interesting. And like practicing this stuff, it's crazy. And about something that's like so meaningful, that like is getting me out of pain, but actually getting me to understand myself. Um, should I continue with the program, or do you have anything on that?
Continue with the program, and then I do want to come back to what your therapist was saying about my interpretation of it is maybe you don't have to be so extreme in what you're doing. I want to come back to that, but let's continue with the regime,
Okay.
with the list.
So yeah, it's that book. I'm starting with that. It's all led by this app called Curable, and that app uses the premise of TMS and mind body syndromes, which is pretty much the same thing. It's that your mind creates body symptoms. That they're one unified entity, which they are, and what you think creates your reality, creates what's happening in your body, creates your future. So every day I go on the app, and like you pay like a small subscription fee, and there's education, brain games, meditation, and writing. It's kind of the four pillars of like what I'm doing right now and how to create change. So I start with the education, which is like 10 to 15 minute like video. Um, just kind of teaches you something about what's happening like with your mind, and it pulls in um, professionals to like talk about all the stuff, and just like seeing stats about, what percentage of people like with bulging discs actually have pain, and like um, what percent of people without pain have bulging discs. It's like 50% by 30 years old of people have bulging discs without pain. And it just keeps getting higher and higher as we get older. Like it's just, Dr. John Sarno says it's like just gray hairs for your spine. Like it's just what happens. And like that's what my MRI have shown. It's just like a slight bulging disc and bone fissure, which is pretty much natural gray hairs for your spine as you get older. And start with education, and the books are extracurricular, but that is definitely important part of the education. So I would suggest, if you're interested in this stuff, reading Healing Back Pain first, Dr. John Sarno, and then the brain games are all things to get me just throughout the day, tricks and stuff to reprogram my mind. So because it's sending me all the same signals, obviously, like I do still feel twinges of pain and stuff, but it's like it doesn't mean anything. All it is the brain trying to distract me. So at all times, like think psychological instead of physical. Like every time I have a physical sensation, it's like, okay, what emotion do I feel because of this? If it's like frustration, that emotion was there a long time ago, but the pain is just making me conscious of it now that I know what's actually happening. So it's like, okay, what am I feeling frustrated about? Or if I'm just like angry about it at some point, or like depressed that like I have pain, it's like, okay, what am I actually feeling depressed about? And the pain is just like a trigger for it. That's a helpful one. And then a lot of them, the brain exercises are for like when you do feel pain, because could take months to actually get pain free. And one that I liked and actually got me out of pain yesterday. Had a great gym session, pretty much like one of my old school ones, good old fashioned chest day. I'm like, I'm back. And definitely still using everything I've learned from this whole process. Um, I'm not the gym rat I was in college. Anyways,
Thank God.
yeah, doing more harm than good. Um, all went great, but I left with just like a little bit of burning sensation in my back, and maybe don't even want to say it did too much because that would imply that there's something wrong. But like the pain was still there, and it felt like one of my old habits of like, it's called catastrophizing. You start to create a catastrophe out of a small twinge of pain or anything. Very common with chronic pain. And instead of going down the rabbit hole, I started doing exercises where you put your hand on your chest, and that sends the same signals to your brain that you're being hugged. And
Mm.
it's like, oh, I'm being hugged. And you just say, I'm safe. This will pass. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm fine. You have to talk to your brain, like out loud, actually talk to your unconscious mind. And you start seeing the changes. Like on the walk home, the pain left. And that could have been, I could have seen that as like a flare up in the past and been like, had that annoying pain for 2 days and literally faded away on the walk home just by doing that.
Whoa. I was going to make a joke about you do this outside in front of people on the street, right? But it sounds like you actually did.
Oh, 100%. I'm walking around just like talking to myself all day.
It's perfect.
They didn't think I was crazy before. Yeah, now we can see you're nuts. Austin Powers reference. Um, so there's the brain exercises and then the meditation, very important.
All
And
within
they
the
do have
app.
yeah, through the app, which is what I've been using in the beginning, which does like 20-minute meditations. But now I'm transitioning over to Joe Dispenza's, which he walks through in You Are the Placebo, which is like an hour, and it's much more extreme in the sense that it's like fully, you have to get to like be pure consciousness. And there's three parts. I'm only doing the first part for a week, and then second and third, because it takes time. You have to be in like you have to become just like space itself, like become nobody, no thing, no time, no place, pure consciousness, so you can truly change everything about your life. And I can't really describe that in detail yet because I'm not too far into it, but there are different meditations. There's another one on YouTube that's like for chronic pain and for like TMS, where pretty much the same thing, like talking to or it's just talking to you like, I know what's happening here. I know you're trying to distract me from the pain. I know you're trying to help me. You've been very helpful over the years, but I don't need this anymore. Like I can handle the emotion, that kind of stuff. And it's just like puts you in a great mindset. So meditation, I don't say writing is probably the most important thing. Journaling every day, and many different methods as what you should be journaling about. I could read one from Dr. John Sarno, which is useful exercise. It's a bit lengthy, but should I do it?
It's a daily journaling exercise.
It's a way to pretty much get to the point of the underlying pain and anger, and like if you qualify as like somebody who has TMS, and pretty much everybody will. It's a good way just to see what's going on in your unconscious.
Let's come
I think,
back to that. I want to hear the full list. You're teasing
okay.
me. You're teasing
Yeah.
us. We have meditation, daily journaling, These two books, You Are the Placebo, Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yep.
Healing Your Back Pain, Dr.
Healing
John
back
Sarno.
pain. Yep.
Healing back pain. It's not your back pain, it's just back
Not
pain.
yours.
You have the
And
app.
one of
What else?
yeah, Curable. Reading now The Divided Mind by Dr. John Sarno, which is incredible. Just like learning about psychology and a little bit about like Sigmund Freud. Realizing that I'm like, I mean, I knew before that I liked psychology and stuff, but like this could be like I think I texted you this week ago. Like this could be a pillar of the rest of my life. Psychological stuff. Like it's so interesting learning about how our mind works. Um, the rest of the stuff, yeah, social media detox at the moment, off of that indefinitely, which has been lovely so far. And just like, yeah, it's an interesting one, what it means. Because I'm on YouTube and I'm documenting pretty much daily videos of like this journey. And I still get the same rush of like, not quite the same, but like YouTube is definitely a dopamine hit. And I'm looking at views and stuff. I'm allowing myself that because I enjoy sharing about the stuff, and it's helping me learn it to like try to just explain it. And I like making the videos, and I want to see what I've gone through looking back. And YouTube is a very permanent and real means to do that, as opposed to like TikTok and short form stuff. So I'm sticking with YouTube. Um, Also off of alcohol, indefinitely. Just full focus, feeling good. I texted you like a few weeks ago. I was getting into this, just like feeling great from no hangover for the past like even one day of a hangover in like 2 weeks shifts things a little bit, maybe a lot. No hangover, so it's like building, learning about the brain and actually applying it. And I'm like, is this just how you feel at all times? Like you've been drinking for years, you love this stuff. It's exciting, it's like empowering, and it's just like it feels like a drug in and of itself to just be creating momentum and like feel like you're getting deeper into something that's meaningful to you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear is no social media, no
I knew you
alcohol.
did.
Yes, you're doing the daily meditations. And honestly, yeah, no social media, no alcohol, daily meditations, daily journaling, diving deep into this stuff. Like that's what gets me going. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning is when people like yourself take drastic action
Hmm.
to fully focus on achieving something. And you want to eradicate your back pain and heal yourself and see this as a deeper journey into the emotional than just the physical. And
Hmm.
I will say that I am probably on the far right hand side of the spectrum of instead of gradually changing one thing at a time and seeing what it is that works, change
Hmm.
everything about yourself at the same time and get drastic results. And that's why I'm super curious going back to what your therapist said. Was she
Mm.
saying that it doesn't need to be such an extreme transformation?
I don't know. Maybe I did just kind of take it as that because I just kept hearing her say monk. So she's like, tell me about this monk thing. So it's like, okay, maybe I, and then, just being in my own head of like, because characteristics that make you a very likely candidate of TMS, it's like the things on the surface that seem like such good things. Perfectionist, uh, do gooder, like you want to be a good person. Um, you're very tough on yourself. You have high standards. You want to be good to other people, like you're a caretaker. You want to treat people well. You a lot of times put other people's well-being above your own. Um, Ambitious, like high drive. All these things are like, oh wow, like that. That is what creates a successful person. But then underneath the surface, it creates a lot of anger and rage in the unconscious because the dichotomy here is that the unconscious is like what Freud called the id. It's just the child in all of us. It's the primal emotions that just wants to be narcissistic and just cares about itself, pleasure seeking. It's just our primal instincts. The ego is kind of what combats that and is like, we have to be a civilized adult here. And there's the super ego, which is kind of like your conscious, which is, you don't just have to be a good person, you have to be a saint. You have to be such high standards and such high morals, and these things, you don't see them clearly defined. It's all happening at once. And we all know that. Like, we have a primal instinct. Like, I don't want fucking, I just want to do meat. I don't want to see anybody. Eat Cheetos and stay home. It's like, nope, you gotta put your pants on, go to work. And then it's like your conscience. It's like, if you don't do this, you're a bad person. And it's like negative, and it's social pressure. So all those things are happening at once. And the type of person, even though, because on the surface, it seems like you want all these positive things to happen and you want to be successful and stuff, but that's where underneath, in the unconscious, that anger and resentment and stuff is brewing. And she was saying more, maybe I just took it as, we kind of just gotta disrupt the system and look at everything in a different way. And she was saying, because, like, I met her for the first time, and I told her, didn't even get into like my childhood and stuff yet, but just like about why I'm in Japan and what I'm doing with my life and like my drive. And I could just tell it sounds like a lot. Like, yeah, it's book, doing this podcast, moved to Japan, like, don't want a normal job, doing all this. And it's like, you got to focus less on kind of she's like, you're in this period, you're in the dark night of the soul period, where it's like, you got to go through some shit and you can't focus so much on the destination. Part of me is like, if only I could tell you, that's my motto. Like, but then it's like, you got to blow up everything I think I know about myself. Like, I think I know this stuff already, but like, drop everything and see yourself from a completely objective new set of eyes. And like, all preconceived notions and everything. So yeah, just trying to, everything I think that like has to be, or just is a certain way because of the person that I am. Like, if I don't do these 5 things every day, is it a successful day in this spiritual odyssey? Like, if I wake up and, like, today, I plan to do the few things before the podcast, meditate, journal. And then I messaged my god brother like a week ago and didn't hear back. I'm like, yeah, let him come to you now. Like, you've done the thing, you reached out, let him make the decision. And part of me is like, sometimes you gotta force people to, not to like make a change, but like, you gotta be a little bit assertive to get important things to happen sometimes. And I'm like, just want to say, like, I love you, and like, whenever you got some time, would love to chat. He immediately just called, like, got the call, talked for 3 hours, didn't do my stuff. And that was probably the most successful decision I've made in the last 6 years.
Yeah. That's a bit of an extreme statement.
Probably the best decision I've made in my entire life. Oh, yeah, I don't know. But, letting
So
yourself, like, yeah.
2 things come up for me. First, I totally agree that that is the best decision you could have made in that scenario of pushing all the things that you felt like you had to do in this little time window aside to make room for the most important thing, which is connecting with
Mm-hmm.
him. And I also love what you said about disrupting the system. And I think that's why I'm noticing I'm getting so excited about what you're doing, because if you can make drastic changes to go all in on achieving a goal, solving a problem, figuring something out, the way my brain works is pull out all the stops, go all in, burn the ships,
Mm.
and see what happens. Because then, if nothing happens, you realize that that wasn't the move. You can start putting things back. But in my
Mm-hmm.
experience, every time I've gone all the way in, if I want to change something, it's black or white. It's not, I'm going to have a little bit less alcohol in 2020. It was, I'm not going to drink for the entire year of 2020. My whole life transformed. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
I get so excited when people take this drastic, atypical action, like no alcohol, no social media, when they really disrupt the system, because I've seen such big results in my own life and
Mm-hmm.
everyone else who I've seen try this segmented period of abstinence or addition of something that might be extreme, like doing 75 hard or running 5 miles every day for a year. Like that type of drastic change usually leads to drastic results and drastic outcomes. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why I get so excited.
Yeah, it's exciting for sure. And like I'm slightly entering the I'm out of the honeymoon first two well it's 2 weeks today. And it's like I mean it's getting much more interesting because now I have this base of knowledge, but it's like I'm not as eager in the morning to do the things. And it's like becoming a little bit more of like I have to just do these things to tick the box. But it's not easy, obviously, to make these big drastic changes. Part of me wants to drink on the weekends and go back to social media, but it's like you gotta. I mean, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Like you have to realize, and I had to get to that low point to do this stuff. Before I was, I'd say I was 90% in to what I was doing. I was between 70 and 90% of healing at all times. I was trying, and I knew that if I could do the 5 days a week of like the workouts, I was doing the best I thought I could. But then my world crumbled, and I was like, this is not working. My life has to go on pause right now to make this drastic change. And you helped me a lot with this of getting out of my own head and out of my own way of like even putting my job hunt, you know, on pause and like just taking the unnecessary pressure off. And that's something I'm definitely working through and like was a theme yesterday of like um what success means to me. And like even though I know how important this stuff is, it still almost feels like I'm not doing enough because I don't have a job right now and I don't have a day job and like using savings and stuff and kind of just taking this period to go fully monk mode and like fix don't want to say fix just learn and unearth what's inside of me and like I'm all in and it had to be this drastic change like if I mean I know I'd feel not good about it if I was still drinking and stuff like this is the beginning of the rest of my life but still have to I'm working through the guilt and the shame of like not having a job and um that was a big part that was also she's like about part of disrupting just these same thought patterns that have because like it seems like that's a good thing like I'm guilty because I feel like I'm not contributing to the society or like what I told her is doing all these things but what does it mean to be an adult if I don't have a day job right now and she's like do you think that it's like a hindrance or helping you that like that thought process definitely a hindrance and she just emailed me um so it's like it's a work in progress you know to put it lightly.
Yeah, one thing that's really been helping me recently is, and it's not a novel concept, but it's just zooming out. Like if you zoom out far enough, you can't see the earth from space. If you zoom out on your life far enough, what you do today, what you do tomorrow doesn't matter. And I mean that in the most empowering way. It's not like, oh, today
Mm,
doesn't matter. I'm going to eat 12 pints of ice cream. But it's
sounds
this
good.
little thing that is stressing you out. You aren't going to remember it.
Hmm.
And what you are going to remember is, like, let me make this specific. If you take these 3 months, however long you're going to take, not working, and you're focusing on healing and exploration and diving deep, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life because it will probably change the rest of your life. And you'll never remember the 3 months, if I ask you about this in 40 years, you'll never remember the 3 months that you didn't have a day job.
Dude, I mean, for sure. And in a big way, it's like, it's just crazy what I'm pretty much, day by day is a theme of this. I am zooming out and trying not to be like, oh, you have to put timeline on it. You have to be healed in a certain time or whatever. But it's like, so much can happen in a day. Like just having that phone call this morning was one of the most meaningful things that's happened in the last 10 years. And just woke up on a random Wednesday and it happened. And like, we just don't know what each day contains. Um, and that, in one sense, is the reason to like, it's so beautiful in a way that like each day is so meaningful and can be. And trying to find ways to fill our lives, in a way that makes it that meaningful and get out of the rut of like days are kind of just blending in and seeming the same and doing the same stuff. It's like, what is important? So I'm trying to say is like each day is so meaningful and everything can change in a day. And that's only like important when you zoom out and like look at it. It's like, what was important? Like the important things that you did every day. So like if you zoom out, it's like, what did I do in those 3 months or like that year? It's like, oh, I was like in Japan, but it's like, what actually happened? Like think about, it's like why I write and journal about it. It's like what happened day by day. Each day I was fundamentally changed. You can't really see that when you zoom out, but you see the change. You see the overall big picture. It's like I changed in that time. But then when you come in hot, it's like to be in that moment and to be changing day by day and to feel the way you're changing and to like, I'm taking the train out to this part of Tokyo I've never been to meet the psychiatrist. It's like a stormy day. It's all moody. And I'm just like, this is like the coolest thing ever. This is
It's a
just
warm and sultry evening.
feel down in my plums. um, yeah, man, it's wild.
Yes. And I'm so grateful to get to watch this journey unfold, to get to play however small and insignificant role.
Oh, buddy, you've been my rock throughout this all, man. I come to you every time I've broken down. I need a good cry, and you've always been there. I cannot thank you enough.
I'll always be there. And I have to run in a moment, but the last thing that I wanted to share, then we'll bring it back to you, is I've been reading a lot of Stephen Pressfield, the author
Mm,
of Turning Pro, The War of Art. I'm reading what's called the Daily Pressfield. It's 365 days of little paragraphs that he writes, one per day. It was
more
sent to me by one of my
breastfields.
clients. So cool. Just showed up on my doorstep. And he believes, and I believe, that the universe is watching. You're up against this invisible force, resistance, which is trying to keep you stuck. It's stronger the more you care about something, but the universe is watching and it rewards you for bold action. And so if you take drastic action, that in and of itself, just committing, having the intention that I'm going to do these 5 things or 4 things or 1 thing per day, I think there's so much value in saying, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to try my best to do it. And if you have a plan to meditate every single day and your house is on fire, you should probably not keep meditating as the house is burning down around you. Like there's always reasons to shift and adapt. So
Mm-hmm.
it goes back to what we talk about all the time. It's having something that you're aiming at, this transformation, this change, this huge thing, but holding it loosely.
Mm,
The intention is super clear. The way in which you get there is less clear. It's a winding path, and certain things might pop up at different times to surprise you.
precisely. Yes, and that is a great just kind of way to look at like therapy and like trying to get out of your own way because you don't know how the best way is to get to that place. But if you think you know where you want to go, Dr. Seuss, um, then set your sights on it, but just be open to that experience. And something we were talking about was like I have this identity that I've kind of formed of like the writer, and I left home and this kind of stuff. But it's like you, like she was saying, you are just in the exploratory stage of life. I think I sent you that quote by Jung or something. It's like before you're 40, you're just exploring.
Yeah.
You haven't even started yet. This is an exploratory phase, but you got to explore. You got to be open, and you got to drop. I mean, speaking to myself here, the things we think we know about ourselves. I'm sure there's a lot of good, and there's definitely good stuff that like I'm proud that that's me. But um, being open, yeah, to get into that place in ways that you can't possibly imagine. Like making it
Yes.
not even about the back pain anymore. It's just like I just want to know about myself truly, and whatever comes up, I think it'll only help me in every aspect as I traverse forward.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for being so open and honest and vulnerable and sharing your journey. And thank you to everyone who's listening to this. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for encouraging us. Couldn't do it without you. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Yeah, you didn't think that when you started the Daredream podcast, return to Vinny's healing journey for a few years, but that's what happened.